Hello, and welcome back to I'll Watch What They're Watching, where we're curious and adamant about cinema. I am one of your hosts. I'm Kyrie.
And I'm Adam.
And today, we're talking about Star Wars. Long story short, in one of our earlier recordings and conversations, Adam found out that The Last Jedi broke my little Star Wars heart in every conceivable way, and I have not touched any Star Wars content since. So we are doing a little mini-series to kind of rectify that, and then we'll probably do some sort of big Star Wars finale at the end of it, but
this is a big deal for us. If you'll remember from Kyrie's top 5, Empire Strikes Back made it into that. Sorry if you're listening to this out of order and that's a spoiler. Star Wars, pretty big deal for you. Similar for me. I'd say before college, I was very, very, very into Star Wars. And I had a break for my 2-year LDS church mission in 2015, summer of 2015 to 2017, which just so happens to be right when the sequel trilogy released. And so now my relationship, I would also agree, is a bit complicated with Star Wars. And so this series is almost a little bit about dissecting that part of it, maybe discovering some of our love that we maybe once had, or putting it away forever. Who knows? But the fun thing about this particular episode is we are fresh off Kyrie watching these sequels, like hours, minutes within them watching them for the first time.
Yeah. So we started with the sequel trilogy. You know, I've only seen Force Awakens, I think maybe twice. And then I've only seen The Last Jedi that once in theaters. Haven't touched it since then. I hadn't seen Rise of Skywalker. So a lot of this was, and again, I haven't touched anything since Last Jedi. It's been years since I've looked at these films. Do you want to just dive right into episode 7?
Let's dive right into episode 7, The Force Awakens. So first time I saw this, obviously it had been a long time since it had released, and everyone around me had seen it. So a lot of it was people looking at me for my reactions, knowing that I'm a big Star Wars guy. And it starts off really great as far as the visuals, and it's showing the stormtroopers and that ship, and it's shaky, and it's this cool drop. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. This is awesome. And then it just tonally and basically everything else, I just have to say, from my first watch and even to now, I just don't feel like I get engaged with this movie. I didn't when I first watched it, and I never have. I just find it kind of flat and boring, honestly. What about you?
I also saw it right after my mission. And at the time, I remember kind of the same way everyone had. I was like, wow, this is episode 4 2.0.
Right.
It's the same thing.
The exact
same.
But,
you know, I do, and even in this watch through, like, I love Rey, and I think this trilogy did Rey dirty. I think Rey deserved a better trilogy.
Absolutely.
Because I think Rey is a great character. I think her arc is one of the few things in this series that works. First time watching it was kind of lukewarm on it, and I was excited to see where it was going to go. And then I did watch it with a friend of mine who really quite enjoyed Force Awakens. And, you know, it passes the Bechdel test with that conversation between Maz Kanata and Rey, and I love Maz Kanata. I think she's also a fantastic character. Force Awakens, I warmed up to it, kind of grew on me. I was listening to another podcast one time, and this movie critic basically just doesn't really have much patience for Star Wars, which I can't relate to. But she basically is like, how many Death Stars are we going to go through? And, like, that's the thing, is when they roll out Starkiller Base, and the part where at one point I was just like, this is so dumb, was when Poe's like, yeah, I wish it was the Death Star. This is the Death Star. This is Starkiller Base. I was like, are you kidding me? It felt like they were rolling out a PowerPoint like, this is why you should care even more. I don't give one single iota of interest. I'm not invested. And I don't know, there are things in Force Awakens that I think works. I think Finn's character is really interesting. A stormtrooper gone rogue, doesn't know what to do, has kind of this cowardice situation, but has to sort of step up and be a hero because he cares so much about Rey. I'm like, I'm kind of into this. I think Finn's character has some really good things going for it. I think they get shot to hell in The Last Jedi, but I think in The Force Awakens, that character is working for me and that arc is working for me. I pretty much never like Poe.
Sure.
I think from the beginning I don't like him.
Yeah, I don't know if this hit me as hard the first time I watched, but this time when I watched and he goes and gets this very important piece of information from this old man that he seems to really trust and know, and they're in this remote village, and then Kylo Ren and his stormtroopers come and massacre a bunch of people, kill this dude, and he captures Poe and he's talking to him, and then Poe makes just really, and it really, the jokes feel offbeat even for a Star Wars movie. It's like, that doesn't feel like, it feels much more Marvel-y, and it feels like,
I was about to say, I call them Marvel jokes.
Yeah, and it just, I probably was fine with it when I first watched it, and I think now it just really fell flat for me. It is so hard to come back to this movie knowing that the arcs don't turn out very well, and so you're watching and you're like, this is really frustrating because I know where this is going and it's not going to a good place.
Right. And it is very obviously building up for Rey to be the main hero. Like that, I feel like that's fairly clear early on. She is the Luke, whereas Finn and Poe are sort of your Han and Leia.
Right.
But like something I didn't ever notice before about Poe, but I was talking to my girlfriend because I was giving her context a little bit here and there because she still hasn't seen episode 6, and I basically was like, hey, don't pay too much attention to these movies because they suck and we're never watching them again.
Yeah.
But I was giving her little bits of context here and there, and I was like, yeah, this guy's just sort of like the good pilot with a smart mouth. And she was like, isn't that just what Han Solo is? And I was like, yep. She goes, so he's knockoff Han Solo. Yep. That's who Poe is. So I don't know. Poe from the beginning, and as the series goes on, I don't really find any reason to enjoy his character or arcs at all. But yeah, so like I said, I think there are things that work. I think that it does some interesting setups. Those I think are the things that work. I think there are some interesting things that it sets up that I think Captain Phasma is a fascinating character. She's very cool. Those are all the things that work, but like you said, again, it's frustrating because you know where it goes. And so everything that sets up where it's like, oh, who's Rey? What's her parentage? What's her childhood like? What happened? Because I remember when I watched it, I was like, oh, Rey's a Kenobi. Heck yeah. Like the Kenobis and the Skywalkers are always tied. And now that I know she's a Palpatine, I'm just like, why?
Yeah. I'll also say visually really well done, and anytime there's a lightsaber, I think the sound of the lightsaber, the visuals of the lightsaber, you can just tell, oh, these are some serious weapons, and it's cool to just kind of see people using those. I do think it takes a step back as far as the prequel trilogies and the fights that you had with lightsaber duels. It's definitely more of a Star Wars Episode 4 with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, where they're much more muted. But I still think that they seem to have this big weight and sound and visual, so that's cool.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about everything that doesn't work in Force Awakens, which is pretty much everything else.
Yes.
I think Snoke is dumb as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I noticed, and maybe it's just because I've been watching the originals relatively recently with Sarah, like, there's so much of it that is just like poor CGI in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
None of it, in my opinion, is carries any sort of great art to it, except for maybe Maz. Like I said, I really like Maz Kanata's character. But Snoke to me is just another grimacing CGI villain.
Sure.
And so I'm just like, great, it's another disfigured, humanoid, evil. I don't care. I don't find him interesting. I don't find him compelling. I don't know anything about him. I think he's just this CGI blob of flesh that I'm supposed to be scared of, and I don't care. Also don't really care about Hux. I also don't know. I like Domhnall Gleeson as an actor. I don't know what's going on in this movie, but he just looks constipated pretty much the entire trilogy.
Yeah, just so many of the characters outside of the ones that we've talked about just don't seem well thought out. I just feel like this is an overarching theme I feel for these 3 movies. A lot of people's favorite Star Wars is the Star Wars they watched when they were 12 or 10 or whatever. And so there's a generational divide between the prequels and the original trilogy and to an extent the sequels. And And that's fine. I think in the last few years, a lot of people have come around on the prequels a lot more than originally.
Oh, agreed.
But that's not going to happen with these sequels. They're just not well put together.
I don't think that is going to happen. No, agreed.
I'm not even going to say I don't think. I'm just going to say they're not. It's not.
I would happily watch the prequels again. I want to rewatch the prequels again. I'm planning on showing them to Sarah. The only reason I'm like kind of glad that I finally finished this trilogy is I feel like I can finally put it to bed and I can pretend that this trilogy never.
See, so that's the issue. Not you, sorry. But that I think is the core issue of these movies, is that J.J. Abrams and the main writers of these movies hate the prequels. And these movies are almost like, hey, I hate the prequels so much. Hey, also I hate the prequels, and so I'm going to do this and this and this, and I hate the prequels.
Right.
And you just can't make a movie that way. That's not how you want to create something that people love and that you love together, and it just feels like there's this hate for what was going on in the prequels because it wasn't like the original trilogy. And so I just it makes me frustrated.
That's the thing is I keep coming to is it's not interesting.
Exactly.
Nothing about this movie is making me be like, oh yeah, great. And the things, because of how it played out, the things that I did find interesting do not play out in a satisfactory way. So I feel like that also falls flat. So watching it this time, I was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Rey and Rey's theme are still the best part.
Yeah.
You know, seeing Rey at the beginning wearing the, the little fighter helmet.
I love that.
Yeah. Still super cute. Yeah, like there's good things to it, but for the most part, I just am sitting here like, I don't care.
Yeah. I feel like the structure of it is really interesting too. I kind of describe it as and then, and then, and then, and then.
Yes.
And then it's almost like they filmed one day and then they're like, all right, let's throw in something to see how we're going to film tomorrow. Like I don't feel like there's this cohesive line going through. It just feels disjointed.
Yeah. Star rating on this one, for me, I think previous watches, it would have been a 3.5. This part, I'm kind of landing at the middle of the road. I didn't think there was anything egregiously terrible. I didn't think there was anything super amazing. So I kind of am landing on middle of the road, probably a 3-star.
Yeah. 2.5 for me. I don't like it.
Okay.
But it's Star Wars. Like I can appreciate the visuals, some of the things I pointed out, but 2.5.
Yeah. Okay. The Last Jedi. So this is the one that when I first watched it, I was like, screw Star Wars, screw Disney. I hate everything. You've ruined my childhood hero. Goodbye. We're done. I had a little bit of a different experience this time because I was less filled with rage in my heart and soul. But what was your first experience watching Last Jedi?
Yes, I was in college, and the big takeaway was one of my friends who seen basically all the Star Wars movies, but wasn't really a big fan. And after that movie, he looked at us and said, that was my favorite Star Wars movie. I genuinely really liked that movie as a whole. So I think that's just an interesting touch point of somebody who maybe hasn't liked Star Wars at some point, but really liked this movie. And I'll say then I liked it as well. I really liked it and have been a Last Jedi truther. I have cooled since, not all the way to disliking it. There are some major issues I can see now and some things I'm like, well, I get the idea. Let's maybe backtrack that a little bit, but I appreciate the swings. Some of them are misses, but we'll talk more.
A lot of them are missing. Yeah. Again, I'm not quite so much at my half-star, rage hating this film. I still don't think it's good.
Sure.
It's way too long.
Oh, for sure.
Way too long.
Sure.
I mean, there were parts that same thing, because it starts off immediately with the Poe bad connection phone call thing. And so immediately I was like, yep, I remember why I hate this film. because you have that, and then you have Luke throwing the lightsaber behind him, and right off the bat, I was like, yep, I still hate this movie. I mean, I think I texted you. I was like, just started Last Jedi. Hate this movie. I hate it. As it went on, I was like, fine, there are some things here. Again, I still think everything with Rey is pretty much a slam dunk. My biggest complaint the first time I watched it is I hated what they did with Luke.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me that still holds that.
Sure.
I think they explained it a little bit better by Luke saying basically he's like, my gut instinct was to turn on my lightsaber, and then I realized that I was crazy, but by that point it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
For me, first of all, that feels like too much of a coincidence. Like, you turned on your lightsaber, and then in the split second it took you to turn it off, Kylo saw you and attacked. I understand part of the jaded old man version of Luke. There's aspects I still don't like.
Mm-hmm.
There are aspects I really do like. Like I said, I think a lot of his conversations with Rey are cool. I know a lot of people who think the Kylo-Rey connection is dumb. I think in the third one, which we'll talk about, it's dumb. I'm kind of on board with it in this one. In this one, I find their conversations to be really interesting. I like to see their bond kind of developing. There's things about this that, again, I'm like, I'm interested. I'm interested in what's going on here. Everything they did with Finn is a waste.
Oh, sure.
Everything they do with Poe is a waste.
Sure.
They turned Poe, I don't want to say this word, like an F-boy. Like, they just turned him into this jock. That's not interesting to me. That, again, just makes me, I'm like, I wasn't crazy about you in the first one. I like you even less here, because I think you're just sort of terrible.
I think he had a very clear vision as far as
Agreed.
The main plot of this movie, because this is my big swing. This is me taking Star Wars and trying to really expand the universe. I'm going to make this so that it is about the Force. It is about connections with people. It is about anybody can be important. Anybody can be a Jedi and make their way in this story. That was his focus. And so I think he then is like, oh, wait, what about these other guys? Let's go to a new gambling city and free some slaves. Let's go, have this weird other. It's almost like, okay, let's take a step back. Let's throw that into an episode of Clone Wars or Rebels or something, and that's fine. That part this time especially, I was like, yeah, this is not. So I just think, again, if you cut so much of that out, if you cut a lot of Poe's stuff out, I think it's fine. I think the redeemable part of this movie, though, is that the central premise, the central theme, the main focus is kind of what I've been talking about of anyone can be a part of this story. And there's some interesting things going on between balance and light and dark, but it does get lost in between a lot of these other poorly baked subplots.
Right. And so to me, I'm just like, I have to take those poorly baked subplots into account.
Sure.
Rose's dialogue is straight up bad most of the time, which is a shame for that character. But her dialogue, that line where she's like, we don't win wars by fighting those we hate, by saving those we love. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, I hate that line. It's so bad. I think the casino planet is really interesting. It's a very interesting design. So I'm like, this is kind of interesting. Whereas, Force Awakens, it's planets that I'm like, oh, good, it's another woodsy planet.
Yeah.
It's another mountainous planet. There's some interesting things here. They're not going to do anything with it. And, Finn basically just rehashes the same plot. Oh, is he going to run away? Oh, he's going to step up to the plate. And I'm like, I already saw this. Phasma comes back for 5 minutes. Phasma shows back up and you're like, oh, Phasma, yeah, I forgot about you. And then she dies later and Finn does some stupid line when he kills her. And I'm really glad she came back to kill her 5 minutes later. What a good use of a character that was. So that was dumb. The whole arc, I don't understand. There's no reason for Holdo not to divulge her plan.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for Poe not to divulge his. So that whole thing is just dumb as hell. It's so stupid. And Laura Dern is giving a great performance because it's Laura Dern, but she's also only in the movie for 90 seconds. So those 90 seconds are great, but she has a script that's a struggle to work with, and they hardly give her any screen time. The stupid The Carrie Poppins meme where Leia just sort of flies back into the ship, that was another moment I was like, when I watched it in theaters, I remember thinking, is this happening right now? Is this actually happening? Also, watching it this time, it felt like a lot of, we're at the end of our rope. Oh no, we made it against the odds. Oh no, we're at the end of our rope. Oh no, we made it against all odds. They do that again and again and again. So it's like they're about to die, and then they get into the tiny transports. And then, oh, they were told about the transports. They're getting shot down. Oh, but they made it to the planet. Oh, okay. Well, if we made it to the planet, it's heavily armored. Oh, no, wait. They have some battering ram cannon that's going to break into this heavily armored base. But, oh, don't worry. We're going to call all our allies. Oh, no, none of the allies answered. Okay, well, can we get out another way? Oh, yes, we can. Where did all the little crystal critters go? Like, oh my gosh. How many times do we have to get to like, well, this is it for the rebellion? Oh, wait, it's not. We have a plan.
Yeah, I think that's a very Rian Johnson coded type thing. Obviously,
it's dumb.
The Knives Out series of just that aspect of trying to misdirect, trying to make you think one thing and then pulling something out of a hat at the end to kind of point you in the direction you're supposed to go. So I think that's certainly a very specific style that works for some people and doesn't for others.
Well, it doesn't work because it's not good writing. It's in fact poor storytelling.
I think it can work. I'm not saying that it does here. I think it is also an issue tonally or just structure wise.
The way I've described it before is Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams were assigned a school project together, and they had to build, like, I don't know, like a model castle. And J.J. Abrams started it, and he's passed it to Rian Johnson and was like, all right, I already built the moat. I have the structure here. Like, you just need to kind of restructure these parts and paint it, and, you know, and then I can kind of take care of the rest. And Rian Johnson comes back a week later with something completely different. And J.J. Abrams was like, what'd you do with the thing I gave you? And Ryan's just like, yeah, I didn't like it, so I threw it away and I made this one instead. So, on the one hand, because I knew it was coming this time, when both Snoke dying and them being like, Rey, your parents are nothing. They were slave traders. They're nothing. You're nothing. I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I am here for that part of the story. Again, at the time I was mad because I was like, Rey's a Kenobi, screw you. Honestly, like, I'm kind of here for it. I think it's a good... I like that idea of, yeah, heroism can come from anywhere. I do think it does sort of spit in the face of what J.J. Abrams was trying to create.
I'm sitting with that because I think I agree, but it's just the issue with these sequels in general. It's clear that they didn't have a story.
There's no cohesion.
They just wanted to make these sequels, and that's an issue. It's mind-boggling to me that there really is no cohesion through these three, and there were no rules. Like, there was if George Lucas was still around, he'd still be willing to give these people a shot, but he'd be like, oh, hold on, guys, this isn't going to make any sense in the last one if you're doing a couple of these things, even as far back as The Force Awakens. Wait, you can't do some of these things because it's six movies and all this canon is established. There's some things you're kind of glossing over that is very problematic. And so I think that's where, yes, I think that I'm sure J.J. Abrams feels that way about Rian Johnson, but I can't blame him. And I think Rian Johnson probably went into, because I don't know at what point Rian Johnson was tapped for this, but I could assume even if it was before The Force Awakens, I feel like his mindset with some of these themes we've been talking about was he had this very clear picture of, I want to take these big swings and I want to do X, Y, Z. And then he looks over and he's like, oh, that's what you did? Yeah, I could work those in with this and this. I don't really care about these things, but I guess I can do some of this stuff over here. That's fine. But I'm going to really do these things well.
And as far as that actual idea, the big swings, I think being subversive is interesting. And I think with something like Star Wars that has kind of already established some themes, ideas, characters, I think being subversive is, you know, in some ways can be a breath of fresh air. I don't think being subversive automatically makes it good.
Sure.
And that's kind of where I'm at with this. There are a couple of things I did really like. The images, the shots right after Holdo feed and tears through, that I was
pure,
like, holy crap, these are beautiful.
And the sound,
gorgeous images with that really stark black and white shot of her going through. Pure poetry. Pure poetry. It's beautiful.
Best part of the movie.
It's 10 out of 10. Case closed. No notes. That part is fantastic. They're the lightsaber battle at the end with Rey and Kylo right after Kylo kills Snoke. I'm there for that. The choreography is crisp. It moves. It looks good. It's not as flashy as some of the prequels, but it looks... I've had people compare it to the Duel of the Fate, and I'm kind of in that same boat where this choreography is good. It's just good. It's crisp. It's dynamic. There's a lot to watch. Rian Johnson seems to be very excited that he's discovered the color red, but I think it works for this when you have that red backdrop. It looks really, really good.
I also love it. I think it's fantastic.
I'm there for that scene.
Yeah.
Totally there for that scene. Same thing with a lot of the visuals on the mining planet. The crystal and then the red that crops up.
So cool.
Again, same thing. Apparently, Rian Johnson saw the color red and was like, well...
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Let's throw it in the film.
But it looks great.
I'm kind of on board with it. I'm like, it looks really cool when, they're going in the little tails on those... And they're starting to rip those red lines through.
That looks awesome.
It looks good. It's cool. It's visually appealing. It's very, I like when people do really cool things with the color, particularly red in cinema. I get very excited when red is used very well. We'll have to watch the horror film Suspiria sometime.
I've heard of that.
I think when people do really cool things with the color red, I get really excited. So I'm on board with that. So there are things, like I said, that I think work. I think everything with Rey, there's some really cool visual things. I like what's going on with Kylo. I'm fine with them killing Snoke because, again, he's boring. Let's kick him out of there. Still don't think General Hux is really doing much of anything. I even found the part where Kylo basically tells Rey, I found that interesting when Kylo was like, hey, join me and we can take over the galaxy again. Yeah, I get it. This isn't Kylo becoming a good guy. This is Kylo basically saying, screw you, Snoke. I can do whatever I want. I'm going to take over my own destiny. I'm going to rule the galaxy. That seems in line with his character. Yeah, I think the final showdown with Luke is cool. I still have some major problems with Last Jedi. I don't ever want to see this movie ever again. But knowing things this time, I was able to watch it, and I was expecting to go hating the whole thing from start to finish. And I watched it, and I was like, still have some major issues, but I was able to see some of the quality stuff in this one.
Yeah.
I still don't like it.
No, totally fair. You talked about being subversive for subversive sake or it not working. So often we see in these film conversations or these box office conversations, the top 10 movies worldwide last year, 9 of them were all sequels or legacy sequels or part of a franchise, and only one original movie was a part of this. And I think Star Wars in a lot of ways really broke a lot of mainstream studio big budget box office movies. Now it's like, don't take any risks, don't upset the fans, let's just bring back people we love. Ghostbusters, we're going to bring all these people back. Jurassic World, we're just going to bring all these people back. Deadpool, we're going to bring all these people back. It's just everybody does that. Everyone's doing that. And so the question I have for you is fan service okay? Or when is it okay?
Yeah, we've seen fan service done well. Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yes.
Beloved by critics and audiences.
Yes, fantastic.
But then we have Matrix Resurrections, which is utter trash. I think when you rely on fan service more than either story or the art of film, you're going to run into problems. Yeah. I think if you already have a good story and a good director, a good screenwriter, and good actors already in place, ready to make something cool, and then you add in some fan service, I think that can work. I think you can make some magic there. I think when it is just fan service, I think that's where you're going to run into problems. I think with Star Wars, when it's, let's make a movie where we can see Han, Leia, and Luke come back. Let's make a movie that's just another Star Wars. And a lot of these movies are also written by committee, which I don't think helps. I think that's where you run into problems when it's fan service first, movie second.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
Movie first, I think when it's movie first and you sprinkle in some nostalgia and some fan service, I think it works.
Which, funny enough, in this one, this time watching around, when Yoda shows up, I'm like, yo, it's Yoda. All right. Yeah, this is great.
That is another one of my favorite parts.
I feel like I don't know why some work for me and some don't, because obviously in The Force Awakens,
Same.
basically none work. But yeah, we've talked through The Last Jedi and, you know, pros, cons.
What's your star rating on Last Jedi?
A 3 feels too low, 3.5 feels too high. So I'm right in the middle there.
Oh, that's insane to me.
I'll just say 3 for now, so that you're a little less mad.
2.5.
That's fine. That's really high compared to what it was previously.
Oh yeah, it was a half star before. Now I'm hovering between 2 and 2.5, where I'm like, it has merit. Still don't like it, but I don't hate it the way I did before.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something I do hate.
I don't know where to start with this thing.
I mean, I think it comes up often on social media. People just making jokes about and Palpatine returned. I do not understand how this movie got made. It is mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling.
I don't know how it was greenlit.
Crawl.
Oh my gosh.
The opening crawl, kind of how we said, there's no cohesion between these movies. The Force Awakens and this movie don't even feel like they're in the same universe.
No.
Each movie almost feels like they're part of a completely different series. The opening crawl is only like a paragraph and a half long. And so I was like, that's it? We get, 5 sentences? 6 sentences? And it basically mentions Palpatine coming back, and I was like...
What? Excuse me?
Yeah. So Palpatine has been discovered, has lived.
Who?
Huh? Well, and then it wraps up with Kylo Ren doesn't want anyone to take his power, so he decides to track down Palpatine to kill him. And I'm saying just like...
What?
Huh?
Yeah.
There's no inkling of Palpatine earlier. It doesn't make any sense at all.
So going back a little bit, obviously you didn't see this until 4 hours ago, but when it was coming out, do you remember at all any of the talk or discussion, or did you just like shut people up or turn it off the second people started talking?
I hadn't seen a single trailer about. No, Last Jedi ruined me pretty thoroughly.
Yeah. So I think in the trailer, you either hear Palpatine say something or you hear him like laugh or something along those lines. But
right, I do know that.
You clearly know that he's in it. And I remember a lot of the discussion was like, well, I'm sure they've set it up and we just don't know. I'm sure it'll be really well put together and it's all this different stuff. And then you watch the movie, and literally the words somehow Palpatine returned is in this movie. How? This is a Star Wars movie. What are we doing?
There's so much about this movie that I'm just like, again, it I don't know where to start, Adam. I don't know where to start. Okay, the most obvious things. There are so many Force rules being either broken or established in this movie. So when Rey heals the serpent thing, I was like, what is happening?
Why are we introducing a new Force power 9 movies in?
I don't know. That thing was dumb. The Force connection between Rey and Kylo now also being able to teleport items. What?
Yeah.
How? How does this stuff teleport? How can he see? What? What is happening?
Right.
And then when she electrocutes the transport thing, the electricity is not a Palpatine-specific thing. It is a Sith-specific thing, and only if you are a very powerful Sith, and it is a very specific ability.
Yeah.
Rey doesn't just have it.
Yeah.
And she only does it like that once, I think. They also seem to make it Palpatine's whole personality in the final battle. Look at me, I have a big lightning bolt thing. No, it is a Sith-specific ability that is,
How did this movie get made? It's just unbelievable.
So much.
There's so many other issues. There's so many.
Like, I do think there are a couple specific things that are like kind of cool. I think.
What? I'm kidding.
Well, you know, the two little things that to get to what's it called? Exegol.
Exegol, yeah. The Sith Wayfinders.
Exegol, that's what it is. You know, and I think the dagger is shaped kind of cool. It's basically just a side quest. Most of the movie is them going on a side quest to find a fancy treasure. Right. But it does seem like more of this was practical effects. I didn't the animals and some of the creatures and stuff didn't feel as CGI to me.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'll tag on to that as well. The one memorable scene I can think of is the battle on the Death Star remains between Kylo and Rey, and the water's all splashing on across them, and they're like walking through. I was actually
kind of checking out at that time.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think
Maybe I should go back and rewatch it.
Visually, I think that's the one.
Started making dinner.
It's a bad movie. I don't blame you, but that's visually the one part I'm like, yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, Han Solo showing up made no sense. Leia dying out of nowhere. So much of the dialogue too, when Poe's like, I don't know how to do this, and then Lando shows up, and Lando's like, you know, we did it, and he's like, how? He's like, well, we had each other. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Every single decision made in this movie is just mind-boggling, and I'll admit, first time I watched it, I enjoyed it, liked it fine. The end emotional beats, I think, hit, but I think in the back of my mind, I was kind of like, okay, there was some issues, but, you know, it sticks the landing, and I'm happy with that, but revisiting it, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, because there were emotional beats that hit. This movie it was the only one of the three that made me emotional. When Wedge Antilles showed up, started crying, and then when you see the Luke Homestead, same thing, got all kinds of emotional. There was just a lot of cheesy lines too, and the one part Finn basically is like, oh, the navigator's on that main ship now.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know? And he's like, I can feel it.
And,
how?
And he's like, Rey, I need to tell you something. What? What?
Oh, yeah, they never cover that.
Why is that in the movie?
Also, the random. Here's the thing, too. General Pride or whatever, not in the others.
Oh, sure.
And now all of a sudden he's like the main villain. Well, because Hux shows up and is like, oh yeah,
I'm the traitor.
Pride's like. Pride, you know, shoots him and then it's like, tell Kylo Ren we found the mole.
Right. How? What in the world?
How do you know it's Hux?
It's
also, who are you? What's this character? Why are you randomly here? What's going on? You've never been in here up to now, and now all of a sudden you're some hotshot general who's leading everything. I don't understand. Oh, also, sorry,
no, you're good.
To say the chanting disciples.
Oh, yeah.
The Sith disciples?
Okay.
What's going on? So, you know, he's all happy. They're going to do the ceremony, and he keeps saying things. He's like, you will now pick up the lightsaber. Blah. And the disciples are surrounding him, chanting, people? What's here?
This movie makes no sense. It's just mind-boggling. None. You did mention Homestead scene. It kind of goes into, I said that J.J. Abrams hates the prequels. You said that Rian Johnson hates J.J. Abrams. And now we have it full circle because J.J. Abrams hates Rian Johnson so much that the central themes of the last movie, and it caps it off at the very last end of the movie when it says, I'm Rey Skywalker, and that's what Star Wars is about, Skywalkers.
I do feel like I disagree with you on that, on the sense that I think Last Jedi is extremely blatant. That was the first. I walked out being like, that guy hated The Force Awakens and decided to do his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree in the sense that Rise of Skywalker does the same thing, because it's basically like, oh, Rey's no one. We'll see about that. She's a Palpatine. She's a Skywalker. I'm going to do whatever I want. And yeah, there are definitely lines of where it's like, okay, well, we're going to kill Snoke. And he's like, kill Snoke? Fine. I'm going to bring back all the Sith. Emperor Palpatine is all the Sith rolled into one.
But who let them do this? Who let them do this in either case? Why did someone greenlight any of this? It's so clearly gonna just mismatch and not work together. It's such a mind-boggling decision, and perhaps that is the reason we haven't had a mainline Star Wars movie in 6 years, that they they kind of took a step.
I hate that.
And not only have we not had one in 6 years, but there's been a Taiki Waititi one that was starting and then ended. There was a
again, Rian Johnson was going to have a full-on trilogy.
Rian Johnson would have a trilogy. Patty Jenkins was going to do the one, and so start, stop. We have 2 that are confirmed coming out in the next 2 years. One of them I think will be slop. I'm crossing my fingers it'll be good, but I think it won't be. And then the other one I am hopeful will be good. So Mandalorian and Grogu and the Starfighter with Ryan Gosling. We'll see. We'll see. The first 6 movies are about the rise, fall, and redemption of Anakin Skywalker and his son who brought balance to the Force. So actually, these 3 movies are just saying none of that mattered rather than the other way around. What are we doing here? Why are we doing this? This doesn't make any sense. Whose idea was this? Why are we retconning that? Why are we making this the central moment of the Star Wars galaxy when we already did that? None of this makes sense.
Oh, also, when Palpatine starts taking like the life force from Rey and Kylo, that was another thing that I was like, the Force can do that now? Okay. And like when he was like, a dyad of the Force, this is so unusual. I'm like, Luke and Leia? This doesn't seem that unusual to me.
Oh, and then they kiss.
That's the thing too. This trilogy doesn't I can't tell, do they want Rey to end up with Poe, Kylo, or Finn? And it seems like at the end of Force Awakens, maybe there's going to be something between Poe and Rey because, you know, they introduce each other and Poe's like, yeah, I know who you are. No, well, because at the beginning of this one, that's the thing too, is I was like, maybe they end up together. No, like, no. Also the lesbian kiss that Disney wants us to praise the hi-hat.
Oh, yeah.
The like 2-second lesbian kiss in Rise of Skywalker where Disney's like, look what we did. We gave you representation.
Right.
And all of us are like, oh, cool. And then we watch it and we're like, no, you didn't.
But actually you have
to be really paying attention.
Back to that kiss, beyond it being totally unearned and frustrating as far as weird, and we were creating something and now we're going back and this is weird and why is he dead now? That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, I also feel like in general, his arc also just doesn't pay off at all. Like him suddenly becoming good feels very abrupt.
It's one that I'm like, yeah, there's some emotional beats at the end that again, like you said, I think hit. I feel like now that I have seen it, I can finally kind of almost close that chapter up. And now I can go back to pretending that these never exist and I never have to watch them ever again.
I genuinely think it will happen that they'll just retcon these and they'll just choose to do a new trilogy. I really think
I could see that.
It just doesn't work.
I don't know if it'll be anytime soon, but I could see in a decade or so. There have been things before. There have been novels and various things that were kind of Star Wars canon.
Right.
Like Mara Jade was someone that Luke got together with.
Yeah.
Han and Leia had 3 kids. One of them, the one who went bad was Anakin. Anakin Solo. So I wouldn't be overly surprised if in 10 to 15 years that happened.
They also said that... Sorry, I just had to complain about this. They also said the Knights of the Old Republic wasn't canon anymore, and that makes me very sad.
Yes, screw that.
It
is canon. I think for the longest time I was like, I'm still going to own every Star Wars movie because I have to, and I just won't watch those 3. And now I'm just like, no, those 3 in my head don't exist. There's problems with the prequel series for sure. I will still sit here and be like, Episode 2 is not good.
Right.
It's not a good film.
And I can defend aspects, but I can't defend the film as a whole. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones in particular is the one that I'm definitively like, this one is not good. I still have a lot of fun with Phantom Menace. I think there's a lot of value to Revenge of the Sith. Attack of the Clones, the dialogue is really not great. It's very clunky, very stiff. Lucas doesn't know what he's doing as far as screenwriting goes. It still feels like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it still feels like something that, like, maybe that's not good, but we get Clone Wars out of it.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of value to Clone Wars. And I think there's some cool things that it does and some cool background. And so even though the prequels don't have the same emotional and cultural impact, for me, it's always going to be the original trilogy, no questions asked.
Sure.
there's still parts about the prequels that I'm like, there's value here, and this is fun, and this is something, and I enjoy watching the prequels. I don't foresee me ever touching the sequel trilogy again.
Yeah.
I don't know in what circumstances I would watch any of these movies again.
No, they're not good.
I want to pretend they don't exist.
And it's frustrating, like we've said from the beginning of this, that we love Rey, we love Finn, we love BB-8, we love Porgs. You didn't say that, but I love Porgs. But so there's those little things. I'll say what they've done at Disneyland. That's great. The Rise of the Resistance ride. That's great.
Facts.
That's Smuggler's Run. Yeah, that's great. All that stuff is great. I'm fine with that. But
pre The Last Jedi, I think it was pre The Last Jedi. Maybe it was, I don't know. Regardless, it was definitely around the time of Last Jedi. I went to Disneyland with my family and we saw Rey in Star Wars Land hiding from stormtroopers, and I got to take a picture with her, and it was very exciting for me. Because she was still totally in character. She was like, "Yeah, we need to make it quick because I gotta go hide." And I was like, "Yeah." And I like tossed my brother and I was like, "Take a picture real quick. She gotta go." I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm sitting here like, yeah, Rey deserved better. Daisy Ridley deserved better. Rey deserved better. Oh, last point about Rise of Skywalker. You can tell that John Boyega does not want to be there doing anything.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Kind of in the same way you can tell in that Harrison Ford didn't want to be in Episode 7.
Right.
Like, they don't want to be here, you could tell. But yeah, no, I think Rey deserved better. Unfortunately, that is not enough to make me want to watch these again because there is so much about them that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not having fun. I read a review and I was like, that's what I feel. I am not having fun watching these movies.
Yes, that's exactly
that is the crux of it, is that the prequels, there's parts of the prequels I'm still having fun. I'm having fun with the pod race in Phantom Menace. I'm having fun with the little arena battle and with, seeing Jango Fett.
Yeah.
Jango Fett is cool. Like, there's parts of the prequels that I'm like, this isn't good. I'm having fun. The sequel trilogy, I don't know what it is, but it feels like it sucks the fun out of it. And when this movie was one of the very first like summer blockbusters, one of the big popcorn movies, broke box office records, I'm like, Star Wars is meant to be fun.
Yeah.
These prequels aren't.
Right.
Even with the value that they have, and even when there are things where I'm like, this is interesting or this isn't interesting, they're not fun.
No.
And that to me is almost like the killing stroke. I'm not gonna watch a Star Wars movie that's not fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to. And that's why I don't think I'll ever see these again.
Yeah.
Because even with their merit, even when I think objectively I could make a case that one of these is a better film than Attack of the Clones, but because it doesn't light me up, because I don't sit here being like, yeah, lightsaber fights and clones and bounty hunters and Sith, I'm watching these just going, what's going on? You can tell this was a mess. This was written by committee. This person didn't care what this person wanted to do with continuity. None of this matters. Half these actors don't want to be here anymore. When it's not fun, I don't want to watch. At least when it comes to Star Wars.
I don't want to say too much after that because I think you summed it up very well and beautifully. But what I will say as well is just kind of back to that human element of wanting to tell a story and to have certain themes or meaning behind what you're doing and as an artist and as a filmmaker. And these movies are just devoid of that, or the little bits that are there are just squashed out of it. And so at the end of it, you're thinking, what was the point of that? A second ago I said
yes.
Rise, Fall, Redemption of Anakin Skywalker. And it's this beautiful tale along the way with lots of things you can glean in. What are these sequels about? What's the point of them? Because they could make $3 billion and sell a bunch of merch and stuff. Yeah. And cool. Happy for your $3 billion moneymaker, but sucks for us. So what's your star rating?
Like 1.5, maybe 2.
I'm at a 1.5. Yep.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's really, really bad. It makes me sad, but Is what it is.
It's a hot mess. I think the only reason I'm willing to kick it to 2 stars is because I'm like, there were some beats at the end I liked, and I feel like it did give me the closure that I can now kind of, again, close that chapter, go, okay, now I've seen the sequel trilogy, and now I can put it to rest and never touch it again. And in my brain, it will always end with episode 6.
Yeah. Good way to close that out for sure. And I think it puts us into a very interesting spot going forward because The Mandalorian is going to be really fun to revisit. I'm very excited for you. I want you to be excited. Yeah. I think you've at least...
I'm not right now, so we'll see.
I think
this pretty much did me in.
Yeah, so I would say when there was talk about these sequel movies coming out, I think what a lot of people who didn't necessarily like the prequels, you know, like a J.J. Abrams, but I think in general people were like, well, let's return back to the original trilogy. Let's get that feel of what Star Wars is. And there were swings in this, again, that we just talked about that just don't work. I think The Mandalorian is kind of what does do it and does it well.
The next Star Wars episode that we'll do next month will be covering seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian.
Perfect. Yep.
So that's where we'll pick it back up. But yeah, final words. The sequel trilogy is a mess, and I do not like it, and I will never touch it again. And I'm cautiously optimistic and also incredibly anxious to keep going on this Star Wars journey.
I'm glad. It's a really an interesting thing. Like we've been talking about some diehard fans between us and kind of that relationship. And, you know, I think for me, I don't consider myself as diehard as what I once was. But I think, again, The Mandalorian, when it released right with this, I think that's what kept me kind of tethered for a while.
Okay.
And I did kind of let go at a certain point. We'll share that a little bit later of when that happened. Spoiler alert, it's with Ahsoka. But then I think Andor brought me right back. And now I'm excited for this series, and I'm excited to talk about some of these tent poles. And then, you know, in the next year or two, we'll get to kind of see where Disney is at with Star Wars movies and see if we get back with everything and gain back Kyrie's trust, because that's what really matters. So let's get it back.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, that pretty much wraps up this episode. So yeah, we'll chat next time.